The views expressed by the speakers are their own, and neither their employers nor the Worshipful Company of Information Technologists and its subsidiaries are responsible for them.
I'm going to talk you a bit through how we've used social over the past year, staying close when the world has been very distanced. And this is kind of where we're going. So I'll talk a bit about National Theatre at Home to introduce that kind of streaming brand to you, if in case you haven't been aware of what we've been up to over the last year. Talk you through a little bit how our social and content strategy informed the work around that, and our new tone of voice. Some examples across different platforms of what's been working on social. I've tried to make it so that hopefully you can use it as inspiration for your own organisations, and then a quick content cheat sheet and time for questions at the end. So over the last year, obviously it's been a weird one for everybody, but we launched National Theatre at Home back in the spring of last year to stream full-length plays on YouTube every Thursday, and we did that for 16 weeks. And then over the summer, or a bit later into the autumn, when we were kind of able to open for a little bit, we got opened and closed really quickly. So we filmed both of the plays that opened and then closed so that we could share those plays with more people. That wasn't under the National Theatre at Home umbrella, but we did stream those on YouTube. And then in December of 2019, we launched our paid-for streaming service. So under the National Theatre at Home brand again, but on its own distinct platform, this time hosted by Vimeo rather than YouTube. So I'm just going to share with you a quick video from National Theatre at Home. Here we go. So yeah, that was the first phase of National Theatre at Home, and hopefully gives you a sense of what we were doing with that free streaming. And obviously that was kind of a gift to me for social content and a real opportunity. So yeah, so on YouTube, the shows had 15 million views, as that video said, and we won a Time In, Time Out award as lockdown cultural saviours. And across the social content, so not the actual shows, we had over 18 million video views. We reached people's feeds 1.6 billion times and grew our accounts in 4 months by 800k. And we were UK trending a few times on YouTube and Twitter. So how did we really embrace lockdown? How did we provide content that people wanted? Well, I think this stat is really, really interesting, that 93% of theatre fans want funny, uplifting and or distracting content. And this kind of attitude really led everything that we made throughout the last year. So our aim was about serving really quality entertainment to people on our social channels that engaged fans first, rather than serving an organisational message. So this was the strategy that's kind of informed everything that's that we've been doing. In purple on the left is kind of the social media side of it, and pink on the right is the kind of content side of it. Yeah, obviously the two go really hand in hand. So our aim with social at the National is to make our theatre talked about and talked to positively all around the world. So we've been really experimenting with tone of voice, which I'll talk about a bit more in a bit. And our aim is to start great conversations with people, invest in young and new audiences, and really understand the internet, basically. And in terms of content, digital content that we make, our attitude is that we totally love theatre and know lots about it, and we hope that you, the audience, might too, through discovering our content. And we've really moved to a point where we only make content that we think audiences really want to engage with, and it's been it's been a process getting to that point. And yeah, with the understanding that bad content is reputationally damaging. It looks really bad on our feeds and will harm the effect of the social algorithms. So yes, that's our content strategy at the moment. And then the thing that I think allowed us to really maximise National Theatre at Home and streaming was a real shift in tone of voice. So this is how I have defined our new tone of voice as with a theatre expert and fan that you'd want to be best mates with. And it's really defined by being chilled and warm and chatty, but sometimes gently sassy, even though we're never mean. And yeah, we come at social from the perspective of knowing that lots and lots of our followers absolutely love theatre, but that we want to reach beyond those people to people who might think that theatre is not for them, or could just think that it's really boring. So we want to make theatre feel really relevant to people's lives right now. And in order to do that, we need to know what's happening in the world, what's happening in our sector, and what's happening on the internet. So ways that we have done that, ways that I think hopefully can inspire you for ways that you can make your own content. So I think nostalgia is the biggest feeling at the moment. And two questions I always ask myself before I make any content are, what is the belief behind this bit of content, and what's the emotion that I want somebody to feel when they see it? And I think nostalgia is a really powerful emotion that people are engaging a lot with at the moment. So remembering what that live experience is like, people are really missing you, really missing your art form. Yeah, there are lots of ways that you can remember that with your audience. So these are some more examples from other organisations of people that are doing this nicely as well. I think the Royal Academy, remembering what it was, what it's like when you're just waiting for someone to move out the way of a label in a museum, and the Globe just saying that they're missing people and they can't wait to be able to reopen again. And us saying, we miss little tubs of ice cream, those kind of things, the things that people took for granted before lockdown and now are really missing. Some other content trends that I think are working really well are emotive and relatable content for all times. So like videos, stories, themes that people really understand. So the question being, what parts of the stories you're telling ring true for lots of people? So the theme of this video was that you're awkwardly bumping into an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend. And I think that this kind of attitude is so important. Marketing trailers are really not cutting through for us anymore, especially if they're under 60 seconds. So making content that's longer, up to 3 minutes, or even pushing into 4 minutes. This one was about 90 seconds, I think. Yeah, I think it's far more important now to tell stories that ring true for people rather than trying to best represent your show or your product. So stop marketing and start telling stories. And then these are some other examples of things that I would call relatable content for all time, so funny content about not being able to get up in the morning, or being that Pancake Day is infinitely better than Valentine's Day, and not taking constructive criticism well. So saying that, content that's also emotive and relatable to the very current moment really cuts through for us. So this clip with Vanessa Kirby talked about her feeling really lonely, and it just felt really sensitive to the moment about how people are experiencing lockdown, people are feeling alone, and it allowed us to speak in a way that had real empathy for how people are feeling at the moment. So that attitude of kindness, I think, really resonated with people, saying to look out for those people who are feeling alone. And I think it's a way that organisations can show that they are more in touch when you show that you understand things that people are doing, feeling and saying. Some other examples of content that takes the now of the moment and either makes light of it or just like represents how people are feeling. Other ways that we've kept our social channels going has just been looking back into the archive and looking for hidden gems to resurface. So celebrating your greatest hits, thinking about who and what's been talked about in the media, and getting really sentimental again, remembering things that people are missing, and also being really, really aware of who your organisation has a history with that have big social accounts. So Amy Lou Wood, arguably not an A-list celebrity, but is a big feature of sex education. So she's got a huge Instagram following. So that is probably one of our best performing Instagram posts ever. And it's just a few photos of Amy in National Theatre shows. So yeah, again, knowing what's happening in the world and talking about it, ideally with humour. Feel what your followers are feeling. And this was so important for our live content around the live streams of National Theatre at Home, was so taking a live moment, tweeting at the same time as that was happening when people were watching that show, and making it relevant to how people were feeling right now. And I would really recommend following Spark Notes if you're not already, for inspiration. Yeah, so Twitter, starting live conversations with dry humour is so important. This tweet had 2 million impressions and looks so simple, but there is obviously like a really endless scroll of new tweets to compete against. And the only way that you can really cut through now is having really shareable news or starting a conversation. So top content on Twitter and across all social platforms comes from how people are already behaving. So you'll notice that this is just a text post, there's no asset with it, because that is most of the time how people are using Twitter from their personal accounts. And then these are some other examples on the left of how I'd do that on Twitter, and then how I'd convert that into an asset for Facebook. So it's worth thinking about what ideas you can use in different formats across the different social platforms. I don't think this will come as any surprise, but obviously beautiful photography and backstage stories are the hero of Instagram. I've made it a rule now on our Instagram that we don't ever use any graphics unless it's a meme header or unless it's like something really, really like organizationally essential. So the feed looks a lot more clean and pretty, and that's really helped us grow our engagement. And the way that we got these stories about Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller playing Frankenstein was we just asked our stage managers and hair and makeup artists for stories. And I think having those organizational relationships where you can just ask people for interesting things are really important. And they allow you to allow the craft and beauty of your art form to speak for itself. Okay, yeah, so Facebook love they're shiny new products, and they really, really will boost any content you make that is a shiny new product. So Reels are doing spectacularly on Instagram at the moment. On average in 2021, our video views for Instagram, we've had 150k views on average. On Reels, 80k on Instagram TV, IGTV, and only 30k on feed on average. So yeah, it's definitely really, really worth looking at what Instagram and Facebook priorities are, because it will affect how well different videos are doing for you. I guess I would note with that I'd say that a video view on IGTV is potentially more valuable than a Reel, because Reel is such quick content and you can't do any long form storytelling. But yeah, it is worth noting how many more people you can potentially reach with new products. Not a new product, but Instagram definitely really like their interactive functions on Instagram stories, and you can make really simple games with either video content or simple graphics to get your followers playing with you. This set of stories had more engagements than anything else we posted on Instagram across video, feed, etc. For that month. But the real learning for us was that this video of Clint Dyer and Roy Williams just chatting and answering the same questions, quick-fire questions, as an in-feed video bombed completely. So I think talking heads are really dead now. And then I just wanted to get people to remember about Giphy. I don't think people really talk about it, but it's really powerful, and it allows your audience to speak for you, because if they're searching in their GIF library for the National Theatre or your organisation, it gives them content that they can speak about your brand for you with, especially if you've got live shows streaming. We saw audiences using the GIFs that we'd uploaded to Giphy as reaction posts when they were watching the shows. And we've had 150 million views on our GIFs and stickers. Lots of them are discovered through like emotion hashtags, so things like happy, gasp, ooh, yeah. So it's also a way of getting your brand out there without really having to do that much work. All you need is to make sure that there's a logo on that GIF, and then loads and loads of people can potentially discover your brand. And then a little bit about how we did digital fundraising over the last year. And it was all really rooted in why people cared about theatre. Yeah, going back to what I said before about all of our content having knowing the belief statement and emotion behind it that we wanted people to feel. So we knew that our followers' worldview would be that theatre matters. So it was just reiterating that we really think that too, and then having a really clear why to the ask. And then another thing that was really important was setting up the native donation function across Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, so that the click to donate is really simple for audiences to use. YouTube strategy. So YouTube really is a video on demand platform, and I think needs to be thought about completely differently to any of the other social platforms. It really rewards audience loyalty. So having a strategy where you're posting at the same time each week is really important, and your account will be downgraded if you regularly post really short content. And we also see significant numbers of unsubscribes every time we post under 60-second marketing content on our YouTube channel. So we're now, if we've got marketing content that we need to host on YouTube, we'll often unlist it rather than publishing it publicly, so that we avoid that downgrading. And things that we know are so crucial on YouTube are really punchy thumbnails. That screenshot is not a thumbnail, obviously, and really excellent SEO. So making sure that you have keywords and celebrity names and themes that people are searching for in your titles and your description and your hashtags. So this is kind of a summary of what I think about when I'm making content or briefing content. How do you entertain and inspire people? Is the content that you're going to make entertaining or inspiring as a standalone piece? So if you're taking a clip from a show, does the whole clip standalone, if no one has ever heard of that show before, make sense on its own? And does it have a beginning, a middle, and end that entertains all the way through? Does it have any new information? So is it newsworthy? Is it going to be shareable because it's a story with a hook? Identity, how does it tap into people's beliefs? So does it show a really feminist attitude? Does it show that you really love theatre? Emotion, does the content know what it's feeling? Or does it know what feeling it wants to evoke? So having a definition of what the feeling is behind your content. Star power, obviously not always possible, but think about if there are ways that you can work with influencers, celebrities, and if there's anything in your archive where you have worked with people before they've got big, think about reusing that. And then searchability. Really, really important across all of the social accounts. I think people tend to forget about SEO on Facebook in particular, but it is really powerful there, as well as on YouTube, as I talked about. So that's my content cheat sheet, and that's it.